All right, welcome everybody to the Best Damn Baseball Show here on Best Damn Sports. We are live tonight, streaming at y'all, talking baseball. I am Ash. We got Ty, we got Peter, and we got Luke on tonight. Welcome everybody. How you guys doing tonight?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be on the show. I know I've been with Ash and Peter, but I'm super excited to be here with Ty. This is my first time on a show with Ty. He's the best. Looking forward to a great show with him tonight.
Honestly, I'm thankful that I'm not writing content anymore and I can talk some content. I've done nothing but stare at my screen for 5 days in a row.
Peter, you got your mic muted, but how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing a lot better if Brandon Nimmo can get a hit here. But other than that, I'm doing pretty good. Can't complain.
What's the score in the Mets game? I don't even know.
Mets are down 7-5, bottom eighth, 2 outs. Nimmo just struck out. So hopefully Soto can tie the game here.
All right. Well, just kind of diving right in here. I know this wasn't on the rundown, but I was just looking at the box score from the Orioles game, and my goodness, you had a 10 strikeout performance tonight from Charlie Morton, the ageless wonder. 5 innings, 10 strikeouts, no runs. I mean, that's a few good outings in a row now for Charlie Morton, if I'm not mistaken.
He's back. He's back, and the stock is rising. I mean, eventually he was going to figure it out. He's, like you said, he's the ageless wonder. He was going to figure it out. I know it's really hurts Orioles fans that they signed him in the offseason, but he's still a great pitcher, and looking forward to the second half of the season with him.
Yeah, absolutely. It was just kind of interesting going through that. It looks like they had a rain delay, so he came out of the game, but that was definitely cool to see him get that 10 strikeout. Oh, I guess it's still in the rain delay in the bottom of the 5th of that game. So who knows if I doubt he'll come back out after a rain delay, but interesting nonetheless. Speaking of pitching, there's a guy that I want to talk about tonight because he had a decent outing last night and is off to a really good start considering the last few years. And that would be Patrick Corbin of the Texas Rangers. I know a lot of people are going, what in the world? Patrick Corbin is 2019. I mean, 2019 was the last time that he had an ERA under, I guess he had an ERA of 4.66 in 2020. But outside of that, he hadn't been under a 5 since 2019. In 2021, his earned run average was 5.82, and then he went 6.31, 5.20, 5.62, and this year he's sitting at a 3.66. So the first time he's been under a 4 since 2019. I mean, has this guy figured it out? Is he doing it with smoke and mirrors? What do you guys think about Patrick Corbin? I think it's fascinating because this is a guy that was released several times over the last year. Bounced around clubs. What are you guys thinking about Patrick Corbin? Are you buying in that he's figured it out?
I mean, I don't think you can really ever say you bought into Patrick Corbin, even when he feel like, granted my memory could be a bit hazy, but I feel like even when he was on that World Series winning Nationals team, it was still like, oh, he's kind of just here. Like, I don't know.
He was a 3.25, 3.15. I mean, he had several years where he was pretty elite, but
yeah. I mean, his hard hit percentage is definitely down this year. He's 78th percentile in that category, and it really carries over to the WHIP. You see in the graphic up there, his hits per 9 innings are significantly down this year. So I guess he's producing weaker contact. Guys are maybe getting less barrel on the ball. And again, I think it's a small sample size versus the last 4 years where it's been a train wreck. So I don't know if I really buy into Patrick Corbin, just given how bad he's been over the last 4 years. But I mean, good for him if he's figured it out. Awesome, and guys in fantasy who picked him up at the beginning of the year. I mean, I'm sure they're hurraying right now. One thing I also noticed about Patrick Corbin too. I mean, he's always been a guy who racks up the innings, right? There was no doubt in the National, when he was with the Nationals, getting you 6 innings. He's still doing the same thing. His 12 starts this year, 10 of them he's got at least 5 wins. What's crazy though is he gets to the 6th inning and the whip just jumps up to 3.64. So maybe it's just using him a little bit less, maybe getting him around the first two times around, and then moving over to the bullpen the third time. Maybe that's a little bit more effective for the team. Maybe it's a little bit more effective for his numbers.
Yeah, I think probably a little bit of a change of scenery is probably doing well for him too. And I'm just looking at some pitch usage here. His slider location has been excellent, like really sitting on that bottom of the zone here. And then the cutter too has been really placed well. And it looks like he's trimmed down his pitch menu quite a bit. And, sometimes when you get so many things on the menu, nothing is really that good. And you're sitting waiting for one thing because everything else is going to be out of the zone. But that slider has looked excellent, and he's got a pretty solid 35.5 split between slider sinker percentages, and then the cutter at 20%, and everything else is under 5. So yeah, I don't think I'm buying into the fact that Patrick Corbin is a stud, but I definitely think he's a serviceable back rotation for a team like the Rangers, but they're not getting much else on the offense.
Yeah, absolutely. He's definitely become a useful piece. And to your point, Ty, I mean, he went from using the cutter 19% of the time last year to just 2% this year. So, like you said, he's basically cut that out. But yeah, I mean, I'm pretty impressed with this because I, as a baseball fan, I had pretty much written Patrick Corbin off. But the Rangers needed somebody to step up with some of the injuries they've had and whatnot. It's good to see a guy like that get a second chance and then take advantage of it on a team that, like Texas, that actually has some expectations. Not been that long since they won the World Series and that kind of thing. Now, anything else jump out about this, or we ready to move on to another topic? Or
I think I've exhausted my Patrick Corbin for maybe the year.
Not too much you can say, but I know there's one guy. And we're on the topic of pitching. I know there's one guy that Peter is probably desperate to talk about, especially off that performance that he had the other night, and that is David Peterson. Peter, take it away. Talk about your boy David Peterson real quick.
Well, honestly, I think his complete game shutout was objectively I guess my banner's still up from Wednesday night. Objectively, the funniest outcome. He's a pitcher's pitcher. He doesn't strike out a ton of guys, but the two things on his StatCast, it's not StatCast, darling. There's really only two things on there that stand out to you when you look at it. It's ground ball rate and his extension. And with his sinker, it gets late movement, and you're not seeing that ball till late with that extension. So it's, with the behind that Mets defense, and not only is he getting outs, he's getting outs very quickly. Wednesday's game really did not go very long, and he got a lot of outs on less than 3 pitches. So that's the recipe for a successful, healthy year.
Yeah, absolutely. This guy, I mean, he has definitely been a useful piece for you guys. I mean, last year you look at his stats, he had a 2.9 ERA. This year, a 2.49 ERA. And he's a former first-round draft pick. I think that gets forgotten a lot with David Peterson. So he is a guy that had some pedigree coming up through the minor leagues. Even some of these other, for his career, he's at a 3.85 ERA. So it's not like we should have been totally caught off guard by him having a good year. I think this is a guy. Go ahead, Peter.
So I was going to say his issue has just been consistency. And I saw a tweet the other day that that was referencing David Peterson. It was like when the Mets brought in David Stearns, he took one look at him and said, his hip's fucked up, right? Like 2 years ago, he had hip surgery, and he's been right ever since. Last year, again, it's kind of the same thing. Didn't have amazing stats. His StatCast page looked kind of pedestrian, but whenever he pitched, the Mets would win. So Again, I know wins isn't. I say it all the time. Wins isn't a pitching stat, but when he pitches, the Mets win. So,
yeah, keeping your team in the game and giving them a chance to win is definitely the biggest thing. One of the things that I noticed about David Peterson that I think has contributed to this is he has increased his control each of the last couple of years. Back in 2023, he had a walks per nine of 4.05. And then last year he cut that down to 3.42, and this year 2.82. So just cutting down on the walks definitely improves your chances of keeping your team in the game and making your runs allowed numbers look a lot better. And that's evident because each of those 2 years his earned run average is now improved. So David Peterson is coming a long way in his development as a pitcher. And it's not like he's old or anything at this point. He's in his age 29 season. So definitely, if he can keep, being a viable pitcher like this for the Mets, and in fact, this is what he's doing this year is an all-star level. I think we have to start thinking of David Peterson as an all-star.
No doubt.
I agree. And yeah, Ash, that's a good point about the walks. Like, he didn't walk a single person last game. Like, he pitched all 9 innings and didn't have one walk. That's impressive.
Yeah, he's in the zone a lot and has increased it every year for the past 3 years. He's in the zone over 51% of the time. First pitch strike 63.5%. Like, put the job on the hitter to do something with your pitch. Don't just give it to him like that. And he's been a nice surprise and some consistency in the baseball world where pitching is such a volatility right now. And he's not going to throw his arm out. So you're going to get him every week, sometimes twice. And if the Mets weren't really good, he's probably your all-star outside of voting. Like I'd be putting this guy in.
Yeah, I think he's going to make that all-star team. I think you're going to see him in Atlanta next month. So I think this is a really encouraging sign for the Mets that they're kind of developing their pitching like this. And I think that this is going to reward them big time down the road. Another thing that I just, caught notice is that the Red Sox won 2-1 tonight. But about that, the thing that I really liked was that whenever I checked the box score, Roman Anthony was in the lineup. There was talks the other day about Alex Cora saying that they weren't going to change their plan and how they use their young left-handed batters whenever there's a lefty on the hill. And in fact, Monday night they pinch hit for Roman Anthony late in the game whenever a lefty came on the mound. But I was glad to see Roman Anthony started. However, they did not start Marcelo Mayer. That kind of annoys me because when you have two high-level prospects like this, they need to be in the lineup because when are they going to develop the ability to hit lefties if you're not letting them face lefties? And I kind of went on a rant about this the other day, but at least they did start Roman tonight in the game where Ryan Yarbrough started for the Yankees as a left-hander. Do you guys have any thoughts on Anthony and Meyer and whether or not that's an appropriate strategy that Alex Cora was talking about and sticking with their platoon situation with using Ref Snyder and Romy Gonzalez in those guys' places?
Roman Anthony hit like 360 against lefties in AAA this year.
Yeah, he had a 955 OPS.
This like sitting against lefties thing is going on. Yeah, okay, lefties and the bigs are better, but 360 isn't 295. It's not 310 like that. You can't really hit much better than that.
Absolutely. Luke, any thoughts about the game? I realize it's not, great for a Yankee guy seeing them lose tonight, especially to the Red Sox. But
no, I mean, I don't want to give too many comments on the Yankees game. I'll give props to Garrett Crochet. Great performance. I think it was 8 1/3. The only mistake was to Judge in the 9th inning. But the Yankees lineup didn't show up today. There was one particular batter that wasn't in the lineup for the Yankees today, and I think he would have been a difference maker. But you take Trent Grisham out of the lineup, and I think it's just a totally different dynamic for this team. So, but no, and I know Ash, you and I have gone back and forth on how to manage your prospects, how to manage your rookies. I agree. I mean, when you first come up, you should be trying to get as many at bats as possible for these guys. But at a certain point, if you're not performing well, you can't be on the field, and that's a lesson you need to learn as a rookie. That's a lesson you need to learn as a young player. You know, in the case of Roman Anthony, he's only been up for a week. He's been struggling. I don't think it makes sense to just platoon him right now. I know Romy Gonzalez has been hitting well, but he's hitting well above his marker right now, and eventually he'll come down to earth. So for Roman Anthony, no, try and get him as many at bats as possible, and the same thing with Meyer. The same thing with Meyer as well. But I will say too, the outfield in Boston is not as crowded as the infield right now. And with Bregman coming back too, I think it's going to be a little more difficult for Meyer. I think Anthony will definitely get more opportunities. And then you also have Abreu coming back too, so that might create a platoon situation for him.
Yeah, I know you've had some strong feelings on this too, Ty.
I like getting your rookies at bats, man, especially when you've got such a sweet farm system and it doesn't look like you're like on the verge. Let me just double check standings, but like, I don't know. I feel like when you're in a position like the Sox are in, you might as well just let them get at bats. And it's not like that's what's losing you games all the time. Like, I don't know. I don't always agree with bringing a guy up and then letting him sit. You know, we saw what happened with Jordan Lawler, just like looked absolutely lost when he finally started getting regular at bats. And when you come up and you are the number one ranked prospect and you're raking against all pitching, it just, that skip in your regular routine of having to sit and then be ready to go for an 8th inning pinch hit is not, in my opinion, I'm not a ball player, but doesn't sound like a recipe for a successful first stint in the majors. And confidence when you're 22 is huge. Knowing that the fans want you on the field is huge. When he got booed after making that error in right field, I was like, oh, Boston needs to maybe check themselves for a second and like let the kid get his feet wet. But you can't be making errors like that, obviously. But yeah, I want to see him getting at bats. And there's no reason to sit him against lefties. He might be the best at hitting lefties on the team. Like, let him hit.
Yeah.
And you bring up.
I think the recipe you're talking about here too, you saw it in Baltimore over the last couple of years. I mean, they've had such a deep farm system, but they can't get guys on the field. I mean, you look at a guy like Heston Kjerstad, right? I mean, not even close to the pedigree of Roman Anthony, but the dude was balling out in AAA, and they couldn't get him at bats in the majors, and he suffered for it. Now he's back down in the minors. Kyle Stowers, right? Just couldn't get time in the outfield. They move him over to Miami, and he's a 270 hitter this year with Miami, getting regular at bats. It's tough. It's really tough when you build such a deep farm system to get all of these guys playing time.
Yeah, and I think Ty brought up a good point in that the mental side of playing baseball is often overlooked because we are so driven to dive deep into the data, and that's something that's hard to quantify is the mental side. And I think that if you're telling a young hitter from the word go that that you're going to sit them against left-handers, well, that to me is telling them you don't have confidence in them to hit in those situations. And to me, that's really contrary to what you should be doing to build these guys up and give them confidence and instill a mindset that they can succeed in those situations. So I think it's just totally opposite of what a team should be doing. They should not be immediately labeling a guy as a platoon until they show them that they can't hit left-handers. Yeah. If they're showing it at the AAA level, maybe you give them a less of a leash at the major league level. But like we said, Roman Anthony was hitting with a 955 OPS against left-handers this year in the minor leagues.
Yeah.
So it's just absurd to me.
And they bat him 5th in his first game and then tell him that he's platooning. You don't bat a guy 5th in his first major league game and then 3 days later be like, no, you're going to sit 30% of the time. No, I'm not. Like, I'm your 5-hole hitter. I'm the guy who's, besides Rafi, going to do the most damage on this team. Like, let me put the bat in my hands.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm thankful that they did.
Honestly, sometimes it feels like they have.
I'm thankful that they did start him tonight, but they did not start Marcelo Mayer. And he's another guy that you're expecting a lot of him for him to be one of your main pieces moving forward. So to me, that just does him a disservice. Go ahead, Peter.
Well, honestly, Ash, I think you hit it right on the head. He's so young. How could you know if he's a platoon bat? And if you go off his stats at the minors, like he probably isn't. It's not like we're talking about Jock Peterson here. It's not like you're trying to get Jock Peterson to be an everyday player. Like Roman Anthony, he's so new. Like if he doesn't do it now, when is he going to do it?
Yeah, exactly. Moving along. Speaking of hitting, did you guys see what the Rangers have done the last few days? Holy crap. The Texas Rangers are looking like they're going to win tonight. They're up 3-1 in the 8th inning over the White Sox. But playing the Twins Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, in those 3 games, they scored 34 runs. I mean, it's absurd. And it's good to see, one guy in particular is Evan Carter, who's been hitting well since he came back. And I think that's a positive sign for the Rangers, because this is a guy that's kind of struggled at times and has dealt with back injuries and the like. So I think that he's a guy that, I'm glad to see that is doing well. And then Wyatt Langford had a really good day last night, where he went 2 for 4 with a homer and 3 RBIs. Any thoughts on the Rangers from you guys?
Someone needs to hit on that team, so then some of these pitchers who are having career years can have career years in the wins column, because like Tyler Mahle has been outstanding. Jake Berger has been better since being recalled back up too, which is nice. But yeah, they put a spot on Minnesota there, and well, they had a kind of a bad middle game. But yeah, this was a team that I thought was going to hit their way into the playoffs and not necessarily pitch their way into the playoffs. But it wasn't looking like that for the first couple of months here. But that's a good sign. I think Wyatt Langford had a nicer introduction to the big leagues than some of these other Boston guys that we're talking about. But Evan Carter too, like, came up so fast and was immediately like the talk of the playoffs. He was one of the better hitters in the playoffs. And then this injury is that scares me. I know he's playing well right now, but
yeah,
I said this last time we talked about him, but back issues, especially like nerve related back issues. And I'm not a pro on what he's dealing with, but that stuff can just come for you. You don't have to swing wrong. You don't have to do anything wrong. You can just sleep wrong. And sometimes that stuff just doesn't go away.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at his line right now since he's come back up to the Rangers on the season. He has a 293, 369, 534 slash line with a WRC plus of 155. So that's pretty elite performance levels after last year really struggling with an 80 WRC plus. I mean, he's already put up almost 1 WAR in those 19 games. So this is a guy that's really contributing at the moment. And after having those back issues last year, that is something that, I'm glad to see him doing well. And it would be really good for baseball to see the Texas Rangers competing again in the American League West, because, we saw them kind of fade last year. And this year they're not off to the best start. They're still below 500. But if they could get up there and start competing with the Astros, I think that could be fun for baseball to see, that Texas rivalry, and the Rangers are a fun team with a lot of good young players. So they would be a fun team to be right there in the mix.
I'd love to see that division have 3 people fighting for top spot instead of just like Houston and Seattle.
And Steven mentions he thinks it was more of an indictment of the Twins rotation. Yeah, Bailey Ober was not good. So
that was crazy.
Yeah. But the Rangers, like you said, were really due. But it was good to see their bats get going and to see, in particular, Evan Carter playing so well. And speaking of consistency, there's one guy over the last few years that I think is one of the most underappreciated pitchers in all of baseball. We've talked about him several times in our private chats, in our Discord and that kind of thing. But Logan Webb, I mean, this guy's one of the best pitchers in baseball, and I think that gets overlooked. I know you did a little bit of a dive tie on Logan Webb today, and let me bring up those stats and go ahead and take it away and talk about Logan Webb for a minute.
This guy, I admit to say maybe I wasn't super familiar with his early career game, but this guy leads all of MLB since 2021 in innings pitched and in home runs per nine. That is such a valuable piece for your team, is to put the ball in play every single at bat and to let them do their thing. And his strikeout numbers have picked up this year, which is exciting for fantasy, but the Giants rotation is the thing holding them on right now. And it's really like maybe two guys, like Robbie Ray's having a really sweet year. I was very surprised by these numbers when I pulled them up, and I'm newer to the like very deep dive player career type of stuff in baseball, but I knew he was good, but I did not think he was first in innings pitched and second in quality starts type of good. Has been outstanding this year. 17 Ks in 14 innings last week. That'll play. Like, that's super exciting.
I mean, he's just sitting at the highest numbers he's ever had for his career in terms of strikeouts per nine. He's got a 10.41 K per nine right now. I mean, that's pretty elite. And he's only in his age 28 season, but each of the last 3 years, he's gone around 200 innings. In 2022, it was 192. 23, it was 216. And then last year, 204. So not only is this guy now striking batters out at the highest rate he's ever done it, but he's also been durable as heck.
Yeah.
I mean, we could be looking at I think he doesn't get talked about among, like in just casual baseball talk a lot, but we could be looking at a Hall of Famer. And I think eyes need to start being paid attention to Logan Webb. I mean, because this is a potential Hall of Fame career that we're looking at.
Yeah.
You know what the craziest thing about Logan Webb is? He's legally blind.
Is that true?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
He has a severe I'm gonna butcher this. Astigmatism.
Astigmatism, yeah. I didn't know he had that.
So does he use like echolocation to find the
it's just baked into him. It's just baked into his body. He just knows where the strike zone is. He doesn't even think about it. He just throws the ball.
He's like the daredevil of pitching right now. No, but to parallel a pitcher that we were talking about earlier, Peterson, Logan Webb, 95th percentile on ground ball percentage. 57.9% of the time he's inducing a ground ball. Again, it's like Ty said, let the hitters put the ball in play, let your defense do the work. Now, again, his strikeout numbers are up, and that just makes him such a better pitcher now, and really gets him to that elite level. The other thing too, and I know Ty, you talked about a little bit, the home run per 9 innings, 0.59. The second on that list is 0.69. Like, he is 0.1 better than the next pitcher since 2021, and that's Framber Valdez,
who is notoriously the best ground ball pitcher in the league.
Yes. Yeah. So just being an elite ground ball pitcher, figuring out the strikeouts. I agree with Ash. I mean, we don't talk about him enough because the strikeout numbers aren't there, but they don't lag too far behind because he's getting in his pitch, he's getting through games, and he's giving your team length. So yeah, I think Logan Webb is top notch.
Yeah, the play that I watched that game against the Padres, and the thing that stood out to me, I wrote about it this week in Stud's List, was he got into a little bit of trouble off of some bad right field play, and then like a no man's land ricochet off of his leg that he just couldn't get to the bag on. So men on first and third, and Tyler Wade up and went to a full count on some good takes. And then he threw, I saw it in slow motion. I said, oh, that's a bad sinker. Oh no, this is bad. And then it dropped like 7 more inches and just completely rolled off the side of the table. And I had time to be like, holy cow, that fell so far, and strike him out, throw him out, double play, innings over, he's out of the jam. Yeah. Like, when you have stuff like he does that can move in every direction, and you have one, like his sinker that drops, but his changeup drops further.
Yeah.
If you're like tunneling those well and sequencing them well, you don't need very much else to be an effective ground ball pitcher. But he has so many other weapons that he can move you off of that before he's like, oh, I'm in some trouble. Let's get 2 for the price of 1 here and let's roll 1 up. And unbelievable. Like to combo innings pitch like that with a home run per 9, the way that it is, and to up the strikeouts.
Yeah.
He's going to be top 5 this year. I hope that he gets some Cy Young love as well. But yeah, he's definitely probably the highest pitcher, because usually when you're talking about a guy being underrated, it's a guy who's like floating in that middle tier, like a David Peterson that we talked about. Yeah, he's good, but is he that good? No, Logan Webb is somehow a great pitcher who is still undervalued. And it's unbelievable what he does, even outside of a fantasy perspective. What he does for that team as they're struggling to hit is amazing. Every start of his is a chance to win. He's
gone out and started 14 games. He's allowed 5 home runs. Yeah, that is insane. Absolutely.
And he's going like, how many quality starts does he have? Let me go look at that, because it's probably like 12.
Like, he doesn't walk anybody.
No.
Yeah,
I mean, he's at a 1.75 walks per 9. I mean, that's pretty elite. Like,
yeah, he's 91 percentile in walks this season.
Yep.
Yeah,
I mean, he pounds the zone. It's not particularly fast. His sinker is 92.7%. 92.7 miles per hour. His four seamer is 93. So he's not overpowering. It's got a ton of movement and it's in the zone.
And part of, maybe I'm being a little bit, spitting a little bit of hyperbole here, but, and maybe going over the top, talking about Hall of Fame already, but part of making the Hall of Fame is avoiding injury and being able to be on the field, because you have to accrue stats to make it. And he's been the definition of that in the last few years. So I think that, like, it's hard when you look at a pitcher that's like 27, 28 these days to look at, because you don't know what their health is like. But like, this is one of those guys that I feel like you can count on to take the ball every 5th day and to go out there and perform. So it's going to be fascinating to watch.
2022, 192 innings. 2023, 216 innings. 2024, 204 innings. Like, you just don't see guys going over 200 innings, and
no.
Yeah. He's probably going to do it again.
Consistently this year, he's going 7 innings. He's averaging 6 1/3 per start right now, which is like, we're talking about adding quality start 5s to fantasy, because players, like, people aren't going 5 anymore. They're not even going 5 innings regularly. And this guy's going over 6 on a regular basis in a division that he's in is outstanding. Like, that can't be talked about.
It's one of the best in baseball. The NL West is ridiculous.
I mean, all the studs in the NL West. I mean, Dodgers.
I mean, you've got the Rockies, but the other 4 teams could be in the playoffs.
Right. I think a 5th team should be in there too, but they're just unlucky.
Because even
the Rockies and 12 wins.
Hey, the Rockies swept last week, guys. Show them some respect.
Yeah.
The other thing I noticed,
and then got swept,
was more of a sad notice, was after he got out of that jam with that strike him out, throw him out double play, the Giants loaded the bases with no outs and didn't get a ball past the infield. So he sat down for quite a while to load the bases and then came back to no run support and just had to buckle in and do it again. And that's got to take a toll on somebody's mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely it does. And I know in your speaking of Rockies and in your studs report, I know that somebody that's kind of feels like a common name to be mentioned is Hunter Goodman. Ty, talk a little bit about what you've been impressed with Hunter Goodman.
I mean, we talked about it last week, but I was excited to see when I actually went on to look at what the stats said that he was actually going to be the guy of the week after we brought him up last week. But he's slugging over 500 on breaking balls and off speed, which I don't expect from a young player, and I don't expect from a young power hitter, right? We talked about this last week, where if you're going to hit tanks like he hits, I'm expecting a lot of swing and miss, which he has. He does have a lot of swing and miss. But like I asked Luke to bring up this graphic today, which is he gets better when he needs to get better, and call it choking up, call it maybe he's swinging for the fences early in the count and in situations that let him kind of just be free. But this guy knows how to sit back and wait for his pitch. What really blows me away is that his average with runners in scoring position is not just better than his average with the bases empty, but like significantly better. Every single one of his marks is excellent with runners in scoring position. It's outstanding, and maybe it's the catcher in him with the plate discipline and the strike zone knowledge, but this kid is really, really exciting, and if I'm ever going to watch a Rockies game, it's going to be because Hunter Goodman's in the game.
Yeah. I mean, I remember following him as he was going through the minors, and thanks Ash for putting him on my radar a couple of years ago. But he was, I can't remember, but his average exit velocity was just insane. So there was no doubt that he was going to hit nukes, right? Like he was going to hit bombs at Coors Field. But it's really great to see that he's pulling the full at bat together. He's not just hitting for power. The last 2 years, 2023 633 OPS, 2024 645. I know he was probably one of those platoon guys, so he wasn't getting every day at bats. But this year, an 848 OPS to start the season, so he's really rising here. I think for me though, looking at his Savant page, looking at the Statcast here, chase rate and whiff rate are super high. Like he is in the bottom percentiles for chase and whiff. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping he can figure that portion out. But by God,
yeah, that does worry me. Like those are not. Yeah. As a standalone figure, that when I look at that page, I'm not like, oh, this guy's definitely hitting breaking balls well. But he is, and one of the things I wrote that isn't on one of these figures is his K percentage with the bases empty is 31, and his K percentage with runners in scoring position is 21.
Yeah,
that is almost 10% lower when he needs to dial in. And I didn't do so much of like what's he doing in every single count thing that is on the top of my head, but it sounds like a guy that gets up there and goes, hey, this is 0-0, I'm hitting a tank. Okay, maybe I'm gonna hit a little less of a tank. Oh, here we go, put the ball in play. And for a young kid, that you can't really teach that, right? Like that's gonna have to be something that a kid brings it with himself. And he seems to be doing that. He hit all three of his hits in Miami were over 105 miles an hour. Like you said, Luke, the kid's exit velocities are diabolical. He splits a ball in half. That bat against Max Meyer too was nice. It was a bad fastball that he got, but he took some hard pitches, took a sinker down, and he waits so well. Like I hope that we don't get some kind of like late season regression for him just like blowing his K percentage out of the water, which that looks like all that blue looks like a guy that's striking out 40% of the time.
Right.
So
he just looks like a two outcome kind of guy. It's either I'm going to strike out or I'm either going to strike out or I'm going to hit a bomb. Like that's it.
And he can run.
Yeah. Yeah. So, he's exciting. And, again, hopefully he can work on the eye a little bit better. Ty, to your point too about, with runners in scoring position, with runners on, his K rate's down. I guess for me, the expectation is pitchers probably throwing in the zone more, probably don't have a base to work with. So he, if it's in the zone, he's going to hit it. I mean, look at his barrel percentage of 11.6%. He's 70th percentile in barrel percentage. So if you're putting it in the zone, he's going to put it in play.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's hitting better on the road too. Like I knew that I was going to get he hits at Coors, but he hits like almost 0.150 higher in slug when he's on the road. So it's not just like Coors luck. Yeah.
And here's the other thing too. I'm looking at the platoon splits right now too. He hits better against righties than lefties this year. 874 OPS against righties, 761 OPS against lefties. So he's just working backwards right now.
Yeah. He was tied for first in situational wins, which is like not a stat I'm super familiar with. But I can look at your company and be like, oh yeah, that looks like it's good company to be in. And it was like Judge. So I'll take that. Like,
Yeah,
Any
if
day.
you can compare anyone to Judge right now, like you're doing well, dog. Like
Totally.
And to the point that we were talking about earlier, the mental side, as far as the Red Sox guys, I think that Hunter Goodman could be another guy that like they finally settled on a position with him,
Yeah.
because they kept trying to rush him up after he was just crushing AAA.
Yep.
And they tried him out in left field, right field,
First
a little
base.
bit of first base. I mean, it was just all over the place. And I'm sure having to learn new positions at the major league level was not something that was ideal for him. And a lot of times young players, if they're performing, if they're trying to do things on defense that they're uncomfortable with, a lot of times that can affect them at the plate. Having him settled at catcher, which is what he had primarily come through the minor leagues as, having him at a position that he feels more comfortable, I think is probably also helping him to settle in at the plate. And speaking to that, his walk rate is better this year than it was last year. His strikeouts are down from last year. I am concerned from what some of the other stuff that you guys said. I'm looking at his swinging strike. His swinging strike is at 16.6%, which typically league average is around 11. So that's pretty high at 16.6. So I'm not sure if it's going to be sustainable for him to continue this success if he doesn't bring that down a little bit. But when you're hitting the ball as hard as, 91 percentile for average exit velocity, when you're hitting the ball like that and just punishing mistakes, you can get away with a lot of, mistakes on the other way when you're swinging and missing.
Yeah,
absolutely. I think him being a catcher puts these stats or the stat cast page in a little bit of a better perspective, because if he's just going out there and hacking the crap out of the ball and you can get like 20, 25 home runs from your catcher, I think everybody would take that on their team.
Totally.
Yeah.
Is he the Rockies representative at the All-Star game?
Probably.
Yeah.
At this point, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought too. I can't think of anybody that would really even be close, to be honest.
Like
maybe
he wasn't, it would be
Orlando Garcia, but I don't know. Maybe him.
Like Jake Bird has pitched really well this year, besides blowing up my team today. But yeah, I think so long as he doesn't like totally implode in the next 3 weeks, yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Let's see. Where do I want to go next here? Sorry, I thought I deleted something and it threw me off. I know, Ty, you there was another guy that in your studs report that you kind of wanted to touch on, and that was Lawrence Butler. Go ahead and take it away and just kind of talk about Lawrence Butler for a little bit, because I know this is a guy that JT, who has been on the show several times, was really high on with his O's and ones reports. If you guys aren't familiar with those, make sure you're checking out JT's O's and ones. Those are awesome. I'll link it in the description after the show goes off so that you guys can find it. His Substack is really good. But Ty, just talk a little bit about Lawrence Butler.
Well, they led the league in doubles last week with 6 doubles, which was, I think, 2 more than anybody else had. And he scored 11 runs on the week. So 12 hits, 11 runs is a ratio that I like. And I love this spray chart from a lefty. I love seeing all the doubles down that left field line. And I think it was Luke mentioned earlier, every single one of his homers pretty much is just dead center. Like, this guy takes the hard way out of every at bat, it seems like, and it just is demolishing baseballs. But the top 2 right now for the Athletics have been outstanding. Both their 1 and 2 hitters are on this list. And I was looking a little bit at his spray chart from last year, and it looked like he was really pull happy last year. And the home run numbers were a little bit better, but that isn't always necessarily what I want. Like, sometimes I want a guy that keeps it moving and is on base, because he's fast too, right? Like I was excited. I was a little bit worried when I saw the 10 Ks on the week, but he hit doubles down the line from lefties this week. Like, it was a really good week for the Athletics. And he recorded 5 walks and 2 off lefties. So I'll take that from, we're talking a lot about lefty platoon right now, obviously with Roman, but this guy's in it every day. And he puts together competitive at bats versus lefties, routinely takes them to like deep left center field for flyouts. And if he can time that up a little bit better and continue to put on strength. I think he's like, 24? Like, he's still a young guy. I really like him. I think the Athletics have a lot of talent in those top 2 spots.
I mean, you're talking about the spray chart and the doubles, but I just want to highlight the totals on the year now. He's got 22 doubles in just 266 at bats. I mean, he's going to have close to 50 doubles at this pace on the season, and that is a lot of doubles. I mean, last year he had 24 doubles in 400 at bats, and so this year he's already almost matched that total. So. This is a guy that's a very productive hitter and somebody that should be an anchor in that lineup for years to come.
Yeah, and I was honestly surprised when I pulled up the spray chart and was looking at it. Again, power left-handed hitter. I would not expect him using the field as much as he does. My expectation was pull to right field. A bunch of home runs to right field. Couple gappers here and there to left center, but I mean, he has a really good spread there on where he's hitting the ball. And it's resulting more in extra base hits than home runs, right? More doubles, less home runs. And like Ty said, I mean, he's going about the hard way to hit home runs, but I mean, when he's hitting them, they're over 400 feet. So I mean, he's hitting bombs as well. The one thing again on the StatCast page that sticks out to me, again, high average exit velocity, high hard hit percentage, high bat speed. But again, the whiff rate and the K rate are super high as well. So lower percentiles for that. But the chase rate isn't that bad. I mean, he's 70th percentile, 24.5%. So he's not chasing as much as our previous example of Hunter Goodman. So hitting the ball hard, not chasing as much, but when he swings, sometimes it looks like he's missing a lot.
He's pulling a lot of balls in the ground too. When he does see righties, especially, he's pulling a lot of balls between the 3-4 gap, which if he's trying to hit the ball the other way and he's missing it, then that can explain it a little bit. But that the whiff and the K rate is not ideal, obviously. Yeah. What were you saying, Peter?
I was going to say, whenever we talk about any player on the Athletics, I like to look at home and away splits, just because they obviously are playing in a minor league ballpark. But they're honestly fine. He has one more hit home than away. He has a little bit more doubles home than away, but like this definitely isn't a case of them playing in a minor league ballpark. He's turning into a really good player, and that spray sheet you showed was very interesting, because like you said, you don't normally see lefties hit a lot of opposite field stuff. It's usually pull. So he could be. I have a question for you, Ty. Do you think he could be better than Brent Rooker as far as just overall hitting in general?
I think he could be more well-rounded than Brent Rooker. I like the all fields power, like not just gap to gap, but line to line power. I don't know. I really like a guy that is on the base paths and continues to make things hard. You give up a solo home run, you just restart. Right? Next guy, next up. We're just going to get the next guy. But when you got a guy on second all the time, that does something to a pitcher. So I think the athleticism that he has too is obviously like leaps and bounds above what Rooker is capable of doing. But yeah, I think that he has the possibility to be obviously a 30 home run hitter if he can fill himself out and stay on that pitch. But I don't know if that's what he wants to be. I think he might be more of a 55 doubles, 25 homers, 20, 25 homers guy who's going to steal you 15 bags too. And I think that's very valuable. So I long-term would probably take like a Lawrence Butler with maybe a little bit of a sprinkle in terms of fantasy, something a little bit extra for a Brent Rooker. But yeah, I think it's comparable. I really like, I like a lefty that can play all the time and isn't a detriment. The thing that does worry me is, we talked a little bit about it too, it's some swing and miss, but the zone contact percentage is like 75%, which is like 7% less than league average, which isn't ideal. But again, he's a lefty, and there is going to be more swing and miss in that profile. But yeah, I definitely think he's a leads the league in doubles type of character.
What I find absolutely fascinating about Lawrence Butler is that his success rate in stealing bases is elite. In between last year and this year, he's stolen 28 bases. He's only been caught twice.
Yeah.
But what's interesting even more about that to me is when I'm looking at his Savant page, his sprint speed is only in the 32nd percentile.
Yeah, he's not super fast, but he's a good base runner. Like, it's just I don't know if it's just being tall and having long strides that helps.
Maybe instincts.
Yeah, maybe just good instincts, good jumps.
He's 24.
Getting good reads off the pitcher. To Ty's point, I mean, he already has 11 stolen bases this season. So I mean, he very well could have 20 stolen bases this year.
Oh yeah, he had 18 last year, and he's at around half the at bats, half the plate appearances that he had last year. I think it's totally doable that he's a 20 to 25 steal guy.
Yeah.
But his base running value is 98th percentile. Like that. That's it. I was scrolling up and I was actually a little bit shocked. I'm also shocked to find out that he's actually only 24. So this, like, he's a child.
Like, he's a young dude. He's a young dude, and he's hitting the cover off the ball. He's a good base runner. Mm-hmm. The only knock for me is against left-handed pitching, right? He's got a 172 batting average this year, 536 OPS.
Yeah.
So he's got to work on facing lefties, but he's hitting the cover off the ball against righties. Yeah. Majority of the time, you're going to be facing righties anyway. So
and 2 walks against lefties this past week. Like it,
yeah.
I like to take that kind of stuff at like a game by game basis because, man, some of these, I would say like maybe around half of the top 10 pitchers in this league right now are lefties, and that's not fair. Like, I do not want to stand in on Scooble as a lefty who wants to be like in on the plate. I don't want to be there. Please pinch hit for me. Like, let me go sit down.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I want to point out is he's doing all this and playing plus defense in center field. Like, he's a very good defender. So, like, even if he does have a little bit of struggle sometimes against left-handers, he's going to find his way into the lineup just because of the fact that he's giving them good defense, regardless of what he does at the plate against a left-hander. So this is a guy that has plenty of opportunity to improve those splits over time because he'll have more opportunities to do so.
Yeah, and I think it's exciting too. I mean, he's playing in Sacramento, right? I mean, it's like, what do they have to play for this season? Give Butler the time to develop and hone those skills that he's just missing. It just seems like he's on the cusp of not just being a very good player, but a great player. Mm-hmm. So I think being in Sacramento really, really helps him out.
I mean, last year he was over a 3-WAR player.
Yeah.
This year he has a chance to be a 4.5, 5-WAR player.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're talking about all-star level of production.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to see his OBP keep climbing a little bit. 328 is not a terrible mark. But the OPS right now is still below 8, which like 7.8 isn't a bad mark. I would like to see a little bit more of that power come. I was expecting him to be at around like the 12 to 15 homer mark by now. But for a 24-year-old, that is getting everyday at bats, he seems to be trending in the right direction, and he's doing the intangibles well: base running, playing defense, and standing in the box and like making pitchers throw to him. And I'm a really big fan of his. I think the Athletics have a really good 1-2 punch at the top of that lineup right now.
Yeah. Do you guys think he's the rep for the A's, or is it someone else?
No, it's Jacob Wilson.
Jacob Wilson. Yeah.
Not to take anything away from him, but Jacob Wilson, up until he took 2 games off at the beginning of week 12, led the league in hits. So
I think he was top in WAR for shortstops too, if I recall correctly. I mean, he's been off to an insane start. And I mean, we always knew when he was drafted he was a great contact hitter, but we didn't realize that it was that good.
And honestly, he's hitting some homers.
Yeah, he's fine.
He's on pace for 12 to 15 home runs right now, which for a guy who literally looks like he's tap dancing in the box all the time. I don't know how I wrote this, it was a joke, but it's true. If we had batter box where like you don't come set, he would never be on the field. Like he never stops moving, and I've never seen that from a hitter before. Arms, legs, feet, head moving constantly. And we're doing a bit of a segue here, but to be a contact hitter, I don't know if anybody has read any of what I wrote about today, but I never played baseball, but I that's pretty much all I do now is watch baseball. I don't see very many guys who are hitting 340 who are moving like that in the box and who have such erratic tendencies while they're like gearing up for a hit. Most of the time it's very small. Luis Ariz, his head looks like a dog chasing a ball. Like it's just pinpoint. It does not move. And this kid is somehow doing a pirouette and can hit line drives everywhere. I've never, ever seen that. I've never seen a guy move that much and make that much contact, let alone at the same time.
Yeah, Ty, I can tell you from my little league experience of baseball, they're not teaching you to move around. They're trying to keep you as still as possible and be locked in as much.
Totally, right? Because repeatability and efficiency, especially as a contact hitter, are your best friends. Yeah. Right. You know, guys who have a lot of movement are guys who are tending to have a lot of load, who are trying to go yard all the time. And he's not doing that. He just looks like he's tap dancing.
It's so funny too, because like you'll see like the beginning of the seasons and you know, guys will break out at the beginning of the season. They were struggling the year before. And it's always the same note. It's he was in the off season and he just simplified his approach. Right? Like, simple things, but for Jacob Wilson, it works. And here's the crazy thing, because I'm looking at a Savant page because we brought him up. He is 100th percentile in strikeout percentage. Like he is the cream of the crop at not striking out, and yet he is just constantly swinging away.
He swings at everything.
Yeah,
I've never seen this before.
Yeah. He is breaking baseball right now.
Yeah, he is breaking this analyst's mind. I am somebody who relies very heavily on readable and absorbable data because I don't have like the actual physical experience of doing it. So I'm like, oh, what does it look like he's doing? And it looks like he's out for a run. Like he's not supposed to be doing it like this. Yeah. You know, and it happens a lot right now, but you know, it happens all the time, especially in fantasy like this, where a guy's off to a hot start like this that you don't expect to happen. And then you talk about moving him because, well, we got to sell high. But I don't think, like you said, Luke, like a lot of these guys go into the offseason and they simplify things and then they come back and they get a little bit too big and they're doing too much. And so they have to come back down. And that's when you get those slumps. But this kid doesn't look slumpable because it's purely rhythm. Like right. I've been listening to a couple of interviews of his, and he talks about it like that, where he's like, standing still and then having to do something explosive is hard to do. So I just don't do that. I just keep myself moving because as long as the ball is moving and I'm moving, we're both moving together. And I like that approach. I don't think it's going to be anything you see anyone else do. I've never seen somebody lift their feet as a pitcher is rearing back to throw before, unless it's a leg kick.
And I do think that there is going to be an argument made that the Athletics should get two guys to the All-Star game because Brent Rooker has not been a slouch this year either. You're talking about a guy that has a 498 slug. He's hit 15 home runs on the season, and this is a guy just perennially does it for the A. I still want to say Oakland, and it trips me up over and over again. But this guy is going to hit 30 plus home runs again this year, and it's just become the definition of consistency in that regard. But not only that, he has cut his strikeout rate considerably. I mean, early in his career, he was a 30+% strikeout guy. Last year it was down to 28.8, and this year he's at 20.8% for a K rate. I mean, that is a really good increase for Brent Rooker, and I think this is a guy that's just exploding. And as he's reached his age 30 season, it seems like he's one of those guys that got so much better in his late 20s, and you don't see that a lot. A lot of times, guys kind of like hit it if they're going to become a star, they do so like 25, 26, and not a guy that's. I mean, he was basically giving up on in Minnesota.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's got the best expected slug mark of his career right now, 563. He's got the best expecting batting average of his career, basically since he saw 85 pitches as a rookie. He's having a Brent Rooker year just again.
I mean, goodness, you guys talk. I'm going to put up his Savant page.
I was going to say his Savant page is the top
Unreal.
2/3 is bright red. I'm colorblind, and even I can tell that.
Yeah. I didn't know that. So we have two good. Peter is as well. So
we have two colorblind people on the cast. That's crazy.
And you wonder why it takes me so long to write these is because I'm looking at pitch charts and they always color like fastballs and cutters to just be like a quarter of a hue different of a red. Everything is the same color. I have to manually look at every single pitch. So that's why everything takes me so long, everybody, is because I'm blind.
Yeah.
Yeah, this Savant page is unreal.
Yeah.
I mean, other than that whiff, like everything else is elite.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's putting it in the air 60% of the time. That's very good.
I think they're going to have two guys at the All-Star game, and Lawrence Butler is going to be almost a snub.
Yeah.
But what if there's a third? What if
three? I don't think three.
I think they could.
They're a last place team. They're not going to get three.
I know. Listen, I know his numbers. I know his numbers are not jumping off the page this year, but people don't forget the name Mason Miller either.
That's true too.
I don't know if he'll rack up some votes. I'm looking at his Savant page, and I think it looks better than Brent Rooker's. I mean, fastball velocity, chase percentage, whiff percentage, K percentage. He has 40 strikeouts in 23 innings pitched. Yeah. He's just almost striking out two guys per inning. Again, his ERA is 4.63 this year, but he's an exciting name. And
that's not always like the best marker, especially for a reliever too. Like
no.
Yeah, because one bad outing really skews an ERA for a reliever.
Absolutely. But again, I'm maybe just going more the politics of All-Star voting, but if you're going down the reliever route, I mean, Mason Miller's a name that people know. He's an exciting player, and that might get them a third guy in the All-Star game.
I don't think Miller's going to make it just because I do think that a lot of people will see that ERA and it'll discourage any kind of thoughts to include him, unless they just want another late inning reliever.
But I think the reliever choice though for the AL then?
I don't know.
Luke Weaver.
I mean, Clase's not been Clase this year. Devin Williams hasn't been good.
I would have said Weaver, but I don't know if he's going to be back.
No, he's hurt. But I like, for me, that would be my lock.
Yeah, that would have been my choice too. I think if he hadn't hit the IL.
Where I was going though is not All-Star talk, but I wish that the Athletics had better starting pitching over the last month.
Yeah,
I mean, a month ago they were at the top of the division. But JP Sears has been awful.
It was actually pretty exciting.
They've been one of the worst teams in baseball the last month and a half. It's been really rough.
JP Sears has been horrible.
Yeah.
And now they've got Mitch Spence, who started a couple of times in the last week and was okay. But kind of when I'm looking at their rotation and how bad they've been over the last month, I have to wonder if Jack Perkins is going to get called up soon. I don't know if you guys have paid much attention to their farm system, but Jack Perkins is an arm that I really like. And I think there's a very real chance that he could be called up soon. He's in their AAA right now and just absolutely dominant. Striking out, I believe, and I don't have his stats in front of me. I'm trying to pull him up, but I believe he's striking guys out at like 14 K per 9 this year. I mean, just been kind of unreal, to be honest.
Another name too got called up to AAA back in May. Luis Morales as well. 2.98 ERA in AA, 52 strikeouts over 42 innings. So I don't know if they're just trying to shuffle guys up the farm system. I know they promoted Gunnar Hoagland. He had a good start in Miami and then just kind of fell apart. And now I think he's getting season-ending surgery now, so he's out. He's done. It's just a rough professional career for him. But yeah, I think they're trying to move guys up the pipeline and really get this rotation back on track.
Perkins, just to let you guys know, I mean, he's got a mid-90s fastball, but where he lives is his slider is his real out pitch. I mean, it's a real dominant out pitch for him. He's throwing that 33% of the time, and then his sinker he's throwing 31% of the time. So sinker slider type guy, but he can get the velocity on his fastball up to mid-90s. So it'll be really interesting to see him. He was hurt early in the season. And I only made 8 starts now in AAA this year. But yeah, I was right. It was 14. He's got 14 K per 9 right now on the season, an ERA of 3.23. This is a guy that I think is going to get, if it's not imminent, I think he'll definitely get called up to make some starts this summer. So I'm excited about him.
Yeah. And the other thing about the A's too, there's no reason why they shouldn't. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you're so far out of it now. The expectations were high to start the season. So get those guys out there. Let them start eating up innings. I mean, look at Chase Dolander in Colorado right now. I mean, he's not pitching well, but they're going to let him keep pitching. Again, the expectations are super low for the Rockies. So just give him that experience. Let him eat up innings. Let him figure out Major League bats. And hopefully next year you can maybe turn it around.
Steven says Perkins is very interesting. Morales too. Both will be up soon, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, those are two. I think Morales is more widely praised than Perkins. Perkins is just a guy that I've watched for a long time that I've been excited to see on the cusp of getting a call up. I do think that the A's are going to let JP Sears keep running out there to hopefully turn it around because I think what they'd like to do there is see if closer to the deadline if they could flip him for something in return. His expected ERA is 4.08, whereas actual ERA is 5.08. So expected stats maybe look a little better than the actual. So we'll see if there's any kind of regression. He doesn't walk guys. I mean, that's been the story of his career. He doesn't really walk a ton of guys, only 1.73 walks per 9, which he was kind of a little over 2 the last couple of years. So, but JP Sears is a pitch to contact type guy for the most part. So if he can rebound and get it back together, I think that he might be a place that they actually trade closer to the deadline, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I think we've talked about the A's far more than we would have ever anticipated when we started this show. But speaking of pitchers, another guy that you've been really hyping up, and everybody's been hyping him up. But talked about him in your studs report this week, and that is Paul Skenes. So what did you see over the last week and several outings that you have been impressed with, Ty?
I saw a criminally run organization that is just hanging maybe the best player in baseball out to dry every time. Like every time he starts, I get 3 or 4 notifications that they've broken some kind of 100-year-old record for not supporting a pitcher, for blowing 1-run leads, for never scoring runs ever, just ever. Like, I think they're maybe around 3 runs per game right now, which is bad, like very, very bad. And it doesn't look like they have a lot of plan for how to improve that. It just kind of looks like we're going to keep rolling out Tommy Pham into left field and just hope he doesn't fight a fan is kind of like the approach right now in Pittsburgh. The where was it here? Over his last 7 starts, he has a 1.12 ERA, which alone is enough to write about because that's insane. But he's only got 1 win, which is, I can't even put into words how much that is not okay. Like, he's, of the 90 occurrences of a pitcher having a sub 2.1 ERA and 80 strikeouts through 13 starts, only one of them has ever had a losing record, and it's 2025 Paul Skenes.
Yeah.
You should not be, we just talked about how great Logan Webb has been. You should not be able to have a better season than the guy that we just talked about first up on the pod and have that many losses. Like, I made a joke in here about how his tops card is like really the only thing that's suffering is like the value on the back of his card doesn't look that good. His K rate is cool, but like he's not getting wins. You know, he's not getting a lot of like what general baseball, like general outside of the baseball world sports people look at and go, oh, this guy's really good. And it's not fair because it's not like he's giving up 4 runs a game. He's the best pitcher in baseball. Like outside of the team stats, him and Skubal, man, like I don't know who I'd take, but I would not take a Pittsburgh Pirate right now in any capacity.
No.
Todd, when we were talking earlier about David Peterson, there was when I said wins isn't a pitching statistic. There's a reason why. That reason is Jacob deGrom. And I asked myself, is this how the rest of the baseball world felt about the Mets when Jacob deGrom was pitching every fifth day? Because I feel so bad for him. It's terrible. Like,
yep. That and funny enough, the next guy on this list is deGrom.
They can't trade him.
No,
like they can't trade him. They're not going to get anywhere near the value of this year.
That would be the nail in the coffin for me. To like, I'm not watching a Pirates game anymore. I'm not giving them my money. This is if they. I don't think they're going to. Like Ashad, I think that would be a.
They're not going to trade him.
That would be like the league needs to get together and buy them out because that kind of ownership cannot be allowed to continue in sport. But yeah, the only guy that I can think of in my 10 years of watching baseball that has had a team build hurt him more than he hurts a team like that is prime Jacob deGrom. Right? The GOAT of my team doesn't support me is Jacob deGrom. And unfortunately also the GOAT might be Jacob deGrom. But Paul Skenes is following on a very similar trajectory. He's completed 8 innings 3 times in his career. He's 0-3 in every single one. And he has 1 total combined run of support.
Short of him demanding a trade, he's not getting traded. I mean, he's got 4 years of control. Like,
there's no way.
And nothing that you get back will ever become Paul Skenes. So, like, sorry, this is not happening. In fact, last weekend when I was driving back from Cincinnati, I was listening to MLB Network radio, and one of the hosts was talking about how the Pirates owe it to baseball to trade him. And I'm like,
fire that guy.
Not their fan base. Yeah. And that's the one thing that I get really angry about is the Pittsburgh fan base is one of the most loyal in baseball. They get good TV ratings in their market. They're constantly having good turnouts at the ballpark. They have one of the best ballparks in all of baseball. And the ownership treats them like dog shit. And I'm looking at next year, the Pittsburgh Pirates could have an elite starting rotation next year. You got Paul Skenes. You've got Jared Jones coming back. You've got Bubba Chandler in AAA, who's probably going to be up at some point this year. Those 3 are an elite 1, 2, 3. And then Mitch Keller. I mean, Mitch Keller right now, his expected stats, he's got a low 3s for a FIP. He's got a 3.89 expected ERA. So at your number 4, that's really good.
He's respectable.
I mean, Bailey Falter is like, I don't want to say he's like this elite pitcher because I don't believe that, but I think he's one of the most unappreciated pitchers in baseball. I mean, you're talking about a guy with a 3.36 earned run average. He just takes the ball every 5th day and it just keeps going out there and being consistent. He's for a 4-5 guy. Bailey Falter is really serviceable. And then you've got Johan Oviedo coming back. So that's 6 guys that could be an elite rotation.
And their minor league rotation is also outstanding. Like they've got just lists of starting pitching prospects that can be like game changers at the big league level at some point. And it's really sad. Like, I don't know what to do. I listened to a couple of his interviews after the game, and that guy is about as professional as they come. If I was going out there every day and pitching, I'm not going to do the math right now, but probably pitching on average more than per game what Webb does right now, who was 6.28 was his innings pitched, so 6 1/3. I would almost guarantee that Skenes is pitching more than that on a game started basis. And it doesn't matter how long he goes. It doesn't matter how well he pitches. They're going to lose. Yeah. And I don't know what to do. He threw 7 different pitches against Houston. 7 pitches. Yeah. And not a single one moved straight. Like, he's the most disgusting pitcher that I have seen with my eyes. And he's also the least supported athlete that, like, I remember in my days of watching sport. I can't think of an athlete, even outside of baseball, who has been let down by their organization to this degree besides DeGrom. And it's unfortunate.
There's a lot. There's a lot for me to unpack here. I mean, first of all, Ty, I mean, hats off for you to actually watching Pirates games because that's just got to be rough. Like that just has to be tough.
It was a long game.
Yeah. Well, and second of all, I mean, Ash, to your point about MLB radio, the guy on MLB radio talking about trading, doing a disservice, having Paul Skenes in Pittsburgh. It sounds really similar to the narrative of Mike Trout in Los Angeles, right? Like,
and that's exactly their point. That was exactly where they went with that.
But the difference is they tried to put a team around Mike Trout.
I will fight people on the Angels. They absolutely tried to win. If they were healthy, if they were healthy, you had Trout, Ohtani, and Anthony Rendon, who was one of the best hitters in baseball when they signed him.
Yeah. So I don't know. The ownership has to figure it out. My third point is, we talk about Jacob deGrom, right, on the Mets and just not getting any run support. The funny thing is, he's getting the same thing in Texas. Like it's so weird. Like it's just so weird. And sometimes they talk about like just certain pitching styles just like lull you out of the game, and as a hitter, like you just feel like, okay, well, DeGrom's pitching today, like I can back off a little bit. Like maybe there's a little bit of that, but it's just wild. Like it's just wild. He goes to Texas too, who, to start the season felt like you had a really good lineup, and they just can't figure out their hitting. My last point, I promise is my last point on the Pirates here. But think about the number of really good to elite pitchers that the Pirates have sold in the last decade. Start with Garrett Cole, Joe Musgrove, Tyler Glasnow, Shane Baz, who was a player to be later named in the Chris Archer deal. It's nonsense. It's nonsense the number of starting pitchers that they've given up on, and I'm afraid they're going to do the same thing to Paul Skenes.
Yeah, that's the thing. I disagree that they should trade Paul Skenes, but history tells me that they're going to trade Paul Skenes.
Do it. They are absolutely going to do it, and it's sad. It really is sad. You think about the rotation that they could have today, and they already have a very good rotation. Imagine you kept Garrett Cole. Imagine you kept Tyler Glasnow. And I don't know if you'd have Paul Skenes at that point, but you had those guys together. Oh my God! Like you wouldn't lose games. You would not lose games.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is they still don't have anybody to hit the ball.
And that's where I was going to go. What's frustrating with the Pirates is you had Brian Reynolds, who they extended, and then they also extended Ke'Bryan Hayes a few years back. Yep. And Ke'Bryan Hayes has gone about as far backwards as you could get. I mean, this is a guy that when I'm trying to remember if they extended him after the first. After his debut season, I'm pretty sure that's when they extended him. But that in that short 95 plate appearance sample size, he had a 194 WRC plus. So like it looked like this guy was going to be a star. Yeah. But he has been awful. I mean, that slash line is down to 232, 289, 291. None of those numbers over 300.
Oh my!
But gosh. And Brian Reynolds, after signing that extension, has really disappointed. Last year he had a 118 WRC plus, but this year it's 87. I mean, this is a guy that's just gone south after they extended him. So, it looks like they tried a little bit, but then you also have O'Neal Cruz at the top. You've got Andrew McCutchen, who's actually having a pretty good year for being 38, almost 39 years old. Is this going to be his last year? Those first three batters, O'Neal, Andrew McCutchen, and Brian Reynolds, for a top three, I mean, that's not bad. Right. But then you've got Spencer Horwitz, Nick Gonzalez, Adam Frazier, the aforementioned Ke'Bryan Hayes, Henry Davis, who's been about as big of a bust as a 1-1 as can get. And then Isaiah
replaced by Joey Bart. He got replaced by Joey Bart.
Yeah. He tried to bunt today. I didn't watch the game, but somebody was talking about it in the Discord. It's like, what is going on in Pittsburgh?
They're trying anything. They're trying anything to score runs right now.
Yeah, let's bunt on 2 strikes. It's a good idea.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh is such a poorly run organization that they can make the best pitch, arguably the best pitcher in baseball, who's dating Libby Dunn, and I feel bad for him. Like, you are generationally shittily run.
I mean, if Hayes and Brian Reynolds had been the stars that they signed them to be, this lineup looks a lot different. The bottom half would still be bad. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But with the pitching that they have, I think that they would be, fringe wild card contender. Those two guys were better.
I felt that way about them when the season started. Right, the rotation looked good enough. The top half of the lineup looked good enough to get you a wild card, and they're not getting it done.
They have less runs per game scored this year than Colorado.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah, they're holy cow. That is so bad. They barely got over 3 runs per game on the road, like 3.06.
Now, I will say Brian Reynolds,
full 1% from last year, 1 run.
Brian Reynolds has been a notoriously slow starter. I know that a lot of times in the baseball fandom, we joke about Julio Rodriguez, but Brian Reynolds has been known to do that as well over the course of his career. And then in like the second half of the season, he'll just go on these massive heaters and raise his overall lines up. So we'll see if Brian Reynolds does that. But Andrew McCutchen, man, I hate this because this Andrew McCutchen, I think that it gets forgotten how good of a player this guy has been over the course of his career. I mean, this is a former MVP. He just the other day hit a home run to pass Roberto Clemente on the all-time list for Pirates hitters. Yeah, I mean, this is a guy with 325 career home runs and 220 steals. I mean, 53 WAR. This is a Hall of Fame caliber player. And this year, he's having the best year that he's had in a little while now. A 112 WRC plus, playing pretty much exclusively as a DH now. But this is a guy with 53 career WAR. You're talking about a guy that could be a Hall of Famer, and this is how he's going out.
Yeah, no, it's embarrassing. And again, Ash, to your point, the Pittsburgh market does so well, and yet they're 26th in payroll.
Yeah,
and that's the part that frustrates me about the Pittsburgh franchise is they don't spend money. And here's the thing: you have again the best pitcher in baseball right now on I don't even know how much he's making, but he's making whatever the rookie money is. He's not getting paid like he should be, right? And you can't build a team around it.
Yeah. Oh, that's that type of framework. Young guys who are ready with no contract obligations. Now is when you open the wallet. Yeah. Like you need to ball out and go buy people. And I can't say that. Like go make some salary decisions and let's go like chase this thing. It's not like you're in a division with the Dodgers. Like let's go and try to win some games here.
You're in the NL Central. That's always.
I will say the NL Central is pretty good this year, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got the Cubs, the Brewers, the Cardinals, and the Reds. None of those 4 teams are easy outs.
No,
not right now. They're not. I wanted to just before we jump off the Pittsburgh train, I pulled up because somebody else commented to me last week when I was smack talking the Pirates that Brian Reynolds is so good in the second half. He's one of the best second half players. His numbers are worse in the second half of his career. He's a 257 hitter the second half and a 267 hitter the first time. Like he's got more homers in the first half, more runs, more RBIs, more walks, more strikeouts. Sure, but I guess that's what happens when you're swinging more and being more aggressive. There are less at bats coming, 500 less at bats in the second half of the year, but ratio wise, like I think he's just a 250 hitter. Yeah. Like I don't think he's going to go for a 330 average in the second half of the year and all of a sudden be a 290, 295 hitter. Like I don't watch a lot of Pirates games to watch them when they're batting. Let's put it that way, Luke, because there's not a lot to watch.
O'Neal Cruz is about as fun gets.
But that's going to pop up on my X after the game in 30-second content. So
he's the new Statcast darling. We talked about this Wednesday night, right? He's going to hit the cover off the ball, and that's really the only reason why you're watching the Pirates bat.
Yeah, and they're going to be. We
need to really look at their hitting development though, because like Termarr Johnson is not looking to be the stud that they thought he was going to be when he was drafted. Henry Davis earlier mentioned he might be one of the worst 1-1 picks we've seen in a while. You've got I know Mitch Jebb is not a highly talked about name, but he's a guy that had really good hit tool in college, and I expected him to be like a high floor, low ceiling type guy and be a really productive player. But he's not done it in the minor leagues like I thought he would. We'll see what Connor Griffin does. He looks pretty good, but he's in high A.
But he's already the second highest ranked prospect, right? Like,
yeah.
Tamar Johnson, I liked him a lot coming into the draft, but he's a 238 hitter in the minors right now. Like, he's not looking like he's even a contact stud anymore, right? Like, especially up the middle, like you've got to offer me some kind of either average or what are we doing? So yeah, his K to walk rate is not terrible. But yeah, 392 slug in AA this year is not what I thought he was going to be doing.
No, not at all. Jack Sawinski's just gone backwards. He can't make enough contact to be successful.
He was a cool waiver pickup a couple years ago in a redraft for like 3 weeks at a time. But he's nothing more than that. Yeah,
I did the same thing. I made a trade for him down the stretch and helped me win a league. But I mean, this isn't fantasy baseball that we're talking about. I mean, it's like real teams need more production than that.
Yeah.
Moving along, I know Luke, you had mentioned some ejection stuff. If you want to go ahead and hit up that topic.
Yeah, it's just another game where Aaron Boone gets ejected. He gets ejected in the 10th inning tonight, which is really, really helpful. It happened right as the show was starting and we were talking about it. I think he might break the record for most ejections as the manager. I mean, if you look at this rate, he's basically getting ejected twice a month during the season. Like, it's insane. Like, and he sticks up. Like, I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing. Like, he's there for his guys. He sticks up for the players. But I'm sure there are certain games where he doesn't need to get ejected and he gets ejected anyway. And
a 1-1 game against your biggest rivals in the 10th inning is maybe not the time to get an ejection.
No, on a reviewed foul ball that was reviewed by MLB. Like, who are you fighting with? Like, who are you fighting with, and what are you fighting about? They reviewed it. You lost your challenge. Move on. it sucks, but it is what it is.
Manager ejections in baseball has always been something that kind of is weird to me. Like, you go up there and we all know the magic words.
Right.
You can kind of say whatever you want as long as you don't look him in the eye. Like, I'm talking about him like he's Medusa, and you don't say the magic words. And he goes up there and he stares at the ground. Sure, he doesn't ever look the guy in the eye, but he says just about every word in the dictionary that you're not supposed to say. And then he gets mad that he's being ejected. I'm like, you have the formula written down. Just don't do that part. Just leave that part out.
Yeah.
I don't understand. And if he keeps this rate up, he's not just going to break the record. He's going to obliterate the record.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, what I find interesting on the chart
as he gets older too, like, he's just going to get more cantankerous, and it's just going to be worse.
What's interesting on the chart though is if you look to the right, like Bobby Cox had almost the same rate that Aaron Boone has.
Yep.
And he managed like 4 times as many games. I mean, almost 5,000 games managed. I mean, Bobby Cox was getting ejected weekly.
he's going to Ty's point, he's going to shatter the record. I also love the Connie Mack over 7,000 games. And
one ejection?
And was only ejected once.
Cool as a cucumber, baby.
Was Connie Mack the last manager to wear a suit in the dugout?
Probably.
I honestly enjoy it. It makes great content. Like, our guys are savages in the box. Like, that was hilarious.
I loved that quote.
Yeah.
Before our times, but Bob in the Discord was saying that Earl Weaver was a fun guy to watch get ejected, but I wouldn't know. I don't think any of us are old enough to.
See, I wasn't old enough, but I missed the days of the YouTube videos where you don't just get ejected and go, you get ejected and you take part of the game with you.
Like Luke Pinella stealing the base.
Yeah, take something, please. Like, do something interesting.
Just rip your jersey off and leave it on home plate. That's the way to go. Like, that's
bring a broom out and just cover the plate up. Like, do something interesting.
Yeah.
Well, guys, it's been a great show. Everybody watching, please make sure you hit the like button below the video. Make sure you hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to our channel. Neither of those things cost you anything, so please help us out as we're trying to make this channel great for everybody. Ty, Peter, Luke, you guys have been great on the show tonight. I appreciate your joining me on here tonight. We'll kind of go around the room, and I'll give everybody an opportunity to kind of give their final thoughts of the evening as we depart tonight. But Luke, I'll let you lead us off. What's kind of your final take of the night?
Just final take, final thoughts. Just some gratitude. Gratitude to the viewers, people who are subscribing. Super appreciative of them, and appreciative most of you, Ash. I mean, putting all this together, bringing us together and talking baseball, talking about what no, seriously, the things that we love. I'm very appreciative of you bringing us all together, and you work so hard, and just appreciative, just grateful.
Yeah, man.
Peter, what do you got for us?
Well, I was just thinking because his name's on the title and we haven't talked about him yet. I looked up Pete Alonso's StatCast page.
I forgot we were going to talk about Pete Alonso. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's kind of funny when we're looking at David Peterson's and Logan Webb's, and it reminded me of Pokemon about like how you evolve and get stronger. And then with Brent Rooker and Pete Alonso's, it's kind of like that too. Pretty much all right across the board for the with the exception of squared up with and Ks, but even then they're pretty much a little bit more than halfway. He's having a great year, much better here than last year. And while I don't think he's going to win the MVP, he is certain. If there is one Met that you could pick,
he could be in the conversation.
Totally.
Well, yeah, but in the conversation, but like as
I mean, he's almost
Lindor had a much
pre-war
stronger case
already.
last year than Pete has this year. Yeah, I mean, I think Lindor had a stronger case last year than Pete has this year, but like what Luke said, also, thank you, Ash, and big props, and this is awesome. I really enjoyed doing this. Thank you so much.
I just want to back up your points though. Pete Alonso last year, a lot of people said the power was down because he was trying to make more contact and put the ball in play more. And he did that last year, hitting for a 240 batting average. Maybe this is the evolution of that because he's hitting 298 right now, and the power's back.
Yeah.
I mean, he has a 585 slug, a 175 WRC plus, and he's already hit 17 homers. Yeah. I mean, this is the best season he's had since his rookie year.
I think, what was it, 18?
Yeah, I mean,
RBIs to start June, right after the Colorado series. I think that was like 9 days. 9 days into June, he already had 18 RBIs.
When I wrote this, he had 20 RBI in 11 games on 15 hits.
Yeah.
And now he leads the league in ribbies, and the Mets are first in the East. So that I agree. If this pace keeps up, that's an MVP candidate, 100%.
Yeah, I think he's
9 RBIs against the Dodgers last week.
I think he's 9. I think he's 9 home runs away from the all-time home run Met for a Met. But remember, last year he got into that car accident before the year, and it definitely he even said himself it affected him. So we have a fully healthy and engaged polar bear, and he's going to be a father soon. So he's going to add some of that dad power to his swing. It's going to be real nice.
He's been going the other way a lot this year too. He's got 5 homers the other way this year. He only had 4 all of last year. And when you're so pull happy, like all guys have to do is pitch you away, and you become an easy out unless they make a mistake. But he's having an outstanding year. One of the videos I was watching about him for this write up was on his approach, and he says he's taken a knowledge is power approach. He says he's preparing before every game visually because he wants to be able to see it in advance, and it's working, dude. It's working. He's putting more balls in play than he's ever done while still putting the ball in the seats at like a pretty decent rate, So yeah, I think Pete Alonso being the headliner for the title and carrying the Mets along with David Peterson, to the top of the NL East is a pretty big storyline for the week.
Absolutely. Sorry, I didn't. I feel bad that I forgot about the Pete Alonso talk. So sorry about that, Peter. Did you have something else that you wanted to use as your final take? Because you don't have to use Pete Alonso as your final take.
It's fine.
All right,
that's fine.
I'll quickly say my piece. Free Paul Skenes, and by free Paul Skenes, I don't mean trade him. I mean do something, help him, give him some teammates, put somebody on the field who is not 38 and who is hitting in your 2-hole. Let's put somebody in their 20s in the 2 and 3 hole, and let's score some runs. I also would like to pass some gratitude on to Ash as well. Had to walk me through how to embed videos today as the token millennial in this group. I thought I would be knowing what I was doing, and turns out I actually have no idea how to use the internet in any capacity. So he had to walk me through how to use Catch-Up, and never even heard of that. But yeah, this has been awesome. It was really cool today after BDS went live for the article. 2 more people both posted their stuff too, and I like that. I like the big community here. I like what Ash has done, putting a bunch of sickos in the same room together and letting us shoot the shit about what sometimes is the most exciting sport on the planet, and other times you watch the Pittsburgh Pirate games and you fall asleep.
Well, I just want to say, like, the crew's been great. I have really had a lot of fun. You guys mean a lot to me, and I'm not just saying that. This is all a lot of fun for me too. So I appreciate you guys. My other thing is, I just want to say, if you're watching on Twitter, head over next time to watching us on YouTube, so you can join in on some of the discussion live here. Would love to have you guys migrate over. Make sure you hit the subscribe button on YouTube. You can find our YouTube channel if you're watching on X and don't know how to find us on YouTube. Just type in your browser thebestdamnsports.com. It'll take you right to our YouTube page, which is easy enough. Be glad to see you guys again next week. Typically, we do the Best Damn Baseball show on Thursday nights, but had a little bit of scheduling conflicts and pushed it to Friday this week. But I've been trying to do a nightly recap of the day's games. So look for those to be posted each day. And then on Wednesday nights, we do a New York Sports Hour at 10:30, discussing all things New York sports scene. And on Tuesday night, we do a little bit of fantasy baseball discussion, primarily centered around one of our fantasy leagues that we have in our home Discord. That league has 128 teams, so it is a little bit more unusual than your standard league. But be paying attention to all our content that we post throughout the week. If you have any suggestions of stuff you'd like to see, please post that in the comments underneath the video so that we get those. And like I mentioned before, please hit the like button and subscribe button. Those help us out a ton and don't cost you anything. So my final take of the night, though, will be go Oilers. The Edmonton Oilers evened up the series at 2 apiece in the Stanley Cup Finals. So tomorrow night, I will be rooting on my Edmonton Oilers as they try to win Game 5 in the Stanley Cup Finals series. So hopefully Edmonton can bring Canada its first Stanley Cup since 1993. It's wild that the last time Canada won either a World Series or a Stanley Cup was in the same year like that. That's kind of wild to me. Sorry, Ty.
Some of us hadn't even been born yet when that happened. Like,
that wasn't even an idea.
I wasn't born.
I think I was the only one born, but
I'm a 94 baby. I came in just a little bit late.
And I actually watched the 93 series. So
the Thunder won their game today too. So there are some Canadians in other sports also.
Is that 2-2 as well?
Yeah, 2-2 as well. And that series, I know it's not a baseball or basketball talk, but that series has been dominated by Canadians so far. That's been really exciting for us.
I don't even know which players you're talking about when you say they're going to.
Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, MVP.
Okay.
And Benedict Mathurin went off in Game 3 too. Had a game high, was it like 27 points or something, I think, that night. Maybe Shea beat him, but another Canadian boy, Lou Dort, Canadian, Andrew Nemhard's Canadian.
There you go. I was not aware.
They're invading basketball.
We are invading.
It has been fun. Thank you for joining me tonight. Guys watching, keep watching us again in the future. Appreciate all of you. Thank you.